Hey, I'm Trevor. This is Erik Geisler. We are currently in Erik's tint shop that he owns, and if you have any interest in knowing how to buy a business, how to find a good deal, how to value that business, and how to buy one with little money down, then this is a conversation that's going to be for you. Erik, tell us a little bit about yourself real quick.
Yeah, you bet. So overall, I've owned a business for 28 years, different businesses along the way. I've bought and sold 9 businesses. Currently have a few of them, and as well as a nonprofit my wife and I own, and she manages so well. Part of it, all of this is given back. You know, I've had businesses from pest control and carpet cleaning, window tinting, of course, auto glass businesses, multiple of those, real estate businesses. I am a licensed contractor in our state, flipped quite a few homes, and currently own CEO of 3 different businesses.
So you're going to want to listen to this because Erik's a pretty impressive guy, and we're going to go over some super helpful things today. So we just got here. We're at the business that Erik bought.
It's called American Glass Tint, and we're here in Mesa, Arizona.
Here's the storefront. Let's go in.
It's got a shared space with a solar company. They do solar hot water heaters called General Solar. We've got a couple of offices. One of my new employees that came with the business, this is his office. Broncos fan there. Here is the main office for the business. Business is relationships. For many years, I had come to this previous owner and worked with him and learned from him, and just we'd grown a friendship. As he got into his later years and closer towards retirement, we've had talks for over 5 years about someday him selling this business to me. As it became time, we talked about it in the beginning of the year. By the end of the year, not going into a new tax year was the goal. Work towards, what it would take, and it took months and months to discuss of what the business is worth and uncovering that. And always felt like he wanted to come back to me and sell it to me based on the relationship that we had, and that I would care for it, as he's owned this business for 38 years. Ready to retire, we sat down at this very desk and discussed what's important to him and how we can make that happen. In buying a business, especially in a trade business where you're providing service, it's important to come in with as low a money as you can possibly have and end up having a seller carry back and use the profits of the business ongoing to pay that owner off. Although we have years and years to pay him off, our goal is to pay him off in a 6-month window from July 1st to December 31st of this year with the proceeds from the business. And so that what that means is every job that we're doing, any profits that are there, other projects or things that we're able to get from this window tinting business, every penny of profit is going back towards paying off the seller. Even though we have the time to be able to do so, we're looking to just build the relationships that are here to grow the business. Deciding on the attorney. I had a business attorney. I've bought a few businesses over the years. I have a great attorney that I trust. Really, I could have taken a document from purchasing a prior business and just changed the names, a couple of the details, and used that same document. Instead, I spent thousands of dollars on my attorney to draw one up that was very specific for this one. That is a crucial element that I wouldn't miss, and I wouldn't cut corners on having the attorney present and representing you. We're in Arizona, so it's a right-to-work state. One thing I've learned the hard way from selling a business to one of my business partners over the years is in a right-to-work state, the courts are not going to take somebody and say you can't do the only industry that you know how to provide for your family. I lost a lawsuit over that.
Is there real quick, a business like purchase attorney, or is it just a general business attorney? What type of attorney do you go to for something like that?
A business attorney, not necessarily purchase, or he can help fight lawsuits for you. Like there's just business attorneys, and I found mine in 2003 when I formed. I bought the current business that I had. And formed a corporation, and he helped me set up that corporation and get the trademarks and do some of the stuff in the beginning. When you structure a business and buying a business, it's always good to put as little money down as you can and have the seller of the business carry some of that note. As we went through the discovery of this company and started going through the books and the tax returns and just how everything was structured, this particular one was in my best interest to do an asset purchase agreement. So we purchased all the assets, which is totally different than buying an entity. And we didn't know going into it what was going to be best. And so my attorney helped me discover that. Now that I know what I know from this business, turned out to be absolutely just imperative. We absolutely did not want to do an entity purchase. So say we bought this business for $100,000. You would say, hey, I'll give you $25,000 up front in a check. You'll get it as we sign in front of a notary at the attorney's office or wherever that location may be. At that time, I'll become the owner of those assets. And so you list inside that agreement what those assets are. It's the phone number, it's the website, it's the reputation of the company, it's, you know, the name of the company, even though it's not the entity. One thing great about that is we don't have any of the liabilities. So to structure the money part of it, you give a small amount, we'll say $25,000 on that 100, and then you set up a time period, say 60 months is pretty average, to pay out the difference. And so you have 60 months. You break out what that number is per month of the months left, and that becomes the monthly payment. So you say, hey, I'll give you $1,500, for the next 60 months as a payment, and we just pay them out that $1,500 a month until it's paid off. You write in your contract that you don't want any penalties for paying off early. You may not want to be tied to this person for 5 years. They may not want to be tied to you for 5 years. You need the ability and flexibility to have that. It happens at the final payoff. What's done there? Can they start to do business in that same industry again? Is there a no compete? What are the parameters? And so that agreement is extremely important. And you can always reach out to Trevor and contact him directly, and he's got a copy of that. We've shared that with him. So he's got all the documents along the way. Purchasing this business comes with having the capacity to grow yourself. We had to have the space. I've got a business partner, Brett, and we had to have the ability to grow. Like, do we have the infrastructure to grow? It takes a lot of energy and a lot of time when you're purchasing an existing business, if you want it to work and get your money back, to free up your life, your time, and everything you were doing in your prior business. You have to engulf like it is all in. So we made it to where, pushed it out to where we can clear up our schedules, and Brett and I were hyper focused on getting this particular business up and going. Now we've absorbed that business, we're watching our business grow. And one of the key elements is we've learned so many things that we can implement into our other business that make us better.
One of the things that stuck out most to me is you mentioned the prior relationship that you had with the owner. And I know from previous conversations with you that you nurtured the deal before the deal was even a thought in the previous owner's mind, which, to be honest, it's one of Erik's superpowers, is kind of creating opportunities. I just kind of want you to, hit on that a little further of, is this, a regular practice that you do of, and how do you do it of, are you reaching out to competition and creating relationships beforehand? I guess just kind of dive into all of that aspect.
It is a natural thing for me, and I do it in all aspects of my life. I try to add value to every relationship I have, and that goes with everybody. And so if there's somebody else in my industry, then I stop by their businesses and I share a best business practice with them. I share all my best business practices with everybody, anybody that wants to know. And what are you doing? I'll sit down with anybody and share those things with you. Somebody's helped me along the way, and it's about giving back as well. So with that in the natural fabric of my days, what's happened organically is, I end up building relationships. It's happened in a lot of ways. So I'll go into a window tinting business, local business that's a competitor. I'm there usually to meet with the owners and share a best business practice and just say, hey, if you ever need anything, we're here. If you ran out of film or have a question about something or wondering if we're bidding a particular job, we share pretty much everything with everybody.
And I love that it's more of just a natural life philosophy than a strategy that you're trying to impose. But hey, naturally you treat people good, and good results come to everyone from that.
Absolutely.
So it's the way, the proper way to do business.
A lot of people are very guarded with their trade secrets or their best practices. And I encourage each of you to just share them. Build up your industry, build up whatever you're doing, and that sharing is contagious. And I've experienced it firsthand. It's awesome for that. So, yeah. Whole nother video coming up for you that Trevor can help you get the online presence. I know he's working on a video to get a business online presence. Like, how did we go about getting the American Glass Tint business page, Yelp page?
Like, after you buy the business, are there things that you should be aware about when it comes to integrating the two? Like, are there difficulties with that? I am sure if you have for instance, employees, and you're acquiring employees, that probably is where the difficulty, I would think, would come in. But yeah, I mean, I guess just combining practices and combining the two.
Yeah, especially on an absorption like this, where this company is not going to be doing business as its name. So great question, and you nailed it. Like, the employee is first and foremost. It's about people. Securing that employee, if you want them, is first and foremost. That was it for us. That was number one. He didn't know that we were purchasing it until just a couple days before it happened. It was executed, and it worked here for 35 years at the same place. We run things completely different than this company. You know, lots of change for him. So securing that relationship was important, and building that relationship. And you know, it's still a work in progress, and it's going well, and it hasn't come with a pay increase, but it's come with some validation, some appreciation of what they've put into it. You can't start it as a brand new employee. You got to give some credit for past work done and validate that. That's a very important element to it. And then from there, the next important part of it is the book of business, right? Like the relationships of the contractors and the different vendors and people that you're working with. Those relationships are just as important. That's what's going to make us the money to be able to pay Pat back, right? Like, to make it worth buying this business. So you've got to really work on that. So back again to people and relationships. That's what it's all about. How do you evaluate the business? We didn't pay 2 times what Pat had been bringing home. We paid less, but we found a number that worked for both sides. He was offered more for it, but it was just an investor gonna just put some money down on it and come up with a higher price. Pat didn't have a great amount of confidence that they'd be able to keep the relationships, keep the business going to where he'd end up seeing the rest of that money. That structure of putting a little down and having seller carry back is imperative in your purchase of a business. You know, we evaluated it what worked for us. So it has to work for both sides. We came in with a number that was lower. He came in with a number that was almost double. We ended up meeting in the middle. It worked for both of us. We're happy with it. The attorney said it was a great deal.
How do the actual negotiations happen? I doubt you're having a conversation where those numbers were coming, or is that how it is, or is it formal emails back and forth through the lawyer?
Face to face.
Oh, really? Okay.
Face to face. So Pat and I sat at this desk, talked about it with a yellow scribble pad, and
with the lawyer present?
Nope, without the lawyer present.
Okay.
So the lawyer represented us, the buyers, okay, not the sellers. So that leads into representation. So we hired the attorney. It didn't cost a ton of money, a few $1,000s, and he was representing us. He makes that clear with Pat. Pat can go get his own representation. We're, you know, hey Pat, I'm gonna use my attorney to write this up and represent us. Do you want yours? And we could send it to him. Pat said no, he wanted to just handle it. Pat and I and my business partner Brett went and met with the attorney to talk about it, and we found a bunch of holes in the process and in the way that we were going to purchase it as an entity. He changed everything on us and said, well, you need to do an asset purchase based on some prior history of the company and the way it's laid out and set up. So it's all official at that moment.
Well, that quick after the months and months of work and preparation.
You bet. So anytime you're buying a business off of relationships, it takes a little time. I've done this a few times, and it definitely takes some time.
But worth it, so.
Worth it.
All right, hey, there we both are. Just want to thank Erik. Thank you so much for sharing all of this valuable information. If you have questions, please leave the questions below, whether they're for me or for Erik. I'll try to pass on any questions and information. But thank you so much for watching, and get out there and get building and get buying.